Magandang umaga, Pilipinas! Tuloy po kayo sa programang Agenda. Please don't be alarmed. I am just exercising our use of the native language. I hope you don't mind. And welcome to the program Agenda. It's August 18, 2022. It's a Tuesday and the sun is out. So pwede na tayong maglaba, magkula at magbilad. Many of you may not even remember or are aware of what magbilad means. It means just putting out all of your whites, okay, in the open for the sun to bleach it. Okay, today we are going to start our day with a daily starter coming from Charles Spurgeon. Anything that makes us pray is a blessing. And some of you may say, Cito, nagdadasal ako pag puro ko problema. Paano naging blessing yon? The fact that we have someone to call upon, someone to rely on, someone who we believe will hear us and heal us, provide for us, protect us, that is a blessing because events and situations in our life reminds us of God, our relationship with God, and God's faithfulness. So that was quite right of Charles Spurgeon. Anything that makes us pray is a blessing. But please, as we start today with this daily starter, please also be reminded that you don't need a reason to pray. You could pray thanksgiving as well. Kumbaga, magpasalamat din tayo. Don't just pray when in need, when afraid, when pressured. Make sure that you also pray in thanksgiving o pagpapasalamat. Okay, let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star for the news of the day from yesterday to today. The headline goes, Supreme Court asked, stop barangay and SK poll postponement. Election lawyer Romulo Macalintal yesterday filed before the Supreme Court a petition to nullify the recently signed law resetting the poll schedule on December 5. Macalintal filed for a petition for certiorari and prohibition, also seeks a temporary restraining order against Republic Act 11935. In his petition, Attorney Macalintal pointed out that Congress can do a lot of stuff, but it does not have the power to postpone elections. Only the COMELEC can do that. Okay. And I also cited the postponement of the elections numerous times as unconstitutional or violative of the Philippine Constitution. Meanwhile, at the top of the front page, we have private schools allowed to extend blended learning. Unlike public schools, hindi katulad sa public schools, the private schools are allowed to extend blended learning so they can either have face-to-face blended learning or online classes, etc. Meanwhile, DOJ Secretary Crispin Boying Remulla is back at the Department of Justice, and in yesterday's flag ceremony, Remulla said, we have work that should have been done yesterday, and so let us now all go back to work and get the job done. Kumbaga, wag niyo nang pagtripan yung kaso ng anak ng mama, magtrabaho na lang tayong lahat. Okay. Meanwhile, the ILG chief, Benhar Abalos, says sorry for police visits to journalists. Okay. He pointed out that to us, it was kumbaga nagpakitang gilas. Okay. It was a mistake. that should not have happened and will be investigated and corrected. Because apparently it was not just one case where a journalist from DCBB was visited. Apparently, there were two other cases, and it seems that this issue of visitations has even reached the U.S. Embassy, and the U.S. Embassy has expressed concern on the matter. Okay. The big photo at the center of the Philippine Star front page. First of all, that woman with her dog is an elderly woman carrying her dog during flood rescue operations at the height of Typhoon Neneng in Barangay Payagan West, Ballesteros, Cagayan last Sunday. Okay, the lady refused to leave her pet Bawaw at home or abandon the pet dog, and fortunately, and to the compliment of the rescue personnel, they allowed her to bring the dog on board. Yan po, no? Paalaala lang, mabuti na yung mga aso nyo, pabakunahan nyo for rabies. Because at least in this kind of situation, hindi natatakot yung mga rescuers at kapitbahay ninyo na gusto man nilang salbahin yung aso nyo, kung matapang o mangagat, baka mamroblema pa sila. The adjacent photo is that photo of San Miguel President and CEO Ramon Ang expressing condolence with families of rescue personnel who died in the height of Super Typhoon Karding in Bulacan. If you recall, 5 rescue personnel died in the act of in the line of duty and drowned as a consequence of rescue operations, and they were all invited to come to the San Miguel Corporation headquarters, and were each family were given 2 million pesos for the 5 families, and offered business startup packages during the meeting. Okay, they were also accompanied by Bulacan Governor Daniel Fernando and Bulacan Congresswoman Lorna Silverio. Ayan po. And then, in still related story, Typhoon Neneng exits Cagayan Town under state of calamity. So, lumayas na po si Typhoon Neneng ng buwisit, ng gulo, nanira, pero ayun po, lumayas na siya finally. Good riddance. That photo to the left bottom of the Philippine Star is a photo of Vice President Sara Duterte, President Bongbong Marcos, First Lady Lisa Araneta Marcos, and Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco raising their glasses to a unity toast for tourism during a convergence reception at the SMX Convention Center. Yun po, ni-launch po ni Secretary Cristina Frasco yung kanilang mga balakin or the plans of the Department of Tourism to promote business and tourism in the country per region. Okay. Meanwhile, yesterday or sometime in the past 2 days, BBM appoints nephew-in-law as Creative Communications Advisor. Okay? Siya po ay walang iba kung hindi si Paul Soriano, who is a multi-awarded movie and television director, to receive a big, huge, wonderful salary of 1 peso a year. Okay, ayan. Baka meron kasi sa inyong gustong banata na kagad yung Paul Soriano. Ang matatanggap po niyang sweldo, 1 peso a year. Okay, so ayan na ang sinasabi natin. Okay, now, for the second straight year, Quezon City is the Philippines' richest LGU. Yari ang Makati. It used to be that the city of Makati was the king of the hill, on top of the hill when it came to wealth. But apparently, they have been dethroned by Quezon City under Mayor Joey Belmonte with total assets of, nako po, mahirapan ako magbasa nito, 451.007 billion in 2021 according to the latest report of the Commission on Audit. So, napakalaki naman po kasi ng Quezon City. It is considered the LGU that has the biggest land area in Metro Manila. And if done right, as they are doing in Quezon City, then it only follows that as development enters Quezon City, they will generate a lot of income at the LGU level. Kasi po, historically, katulad kami, my family, the Beltrans, have lived in Quezon City most of our lives, okay? And for the longest time, Quezon City was a residential community. Doon nga sa UP Village, dati ang tawag doon, the Boondocks, di ba? Kasama yung Diliman, niloko ng kadiliman daw. Pero ngayon, hindi na po madilim. Puro na ilaw, puro na building, puro na mga high-rise, ayan. And they're only just beginning. Okay? Parang kanta nung Karen Carpenter. Ano? Anyway, so congratulations to Quezon City. Last but not the least, okay, at the bottom of the front page, okay, we have Customs Commissioner Yogi Filimon Ruiz cutting or burikiing, yan, binuburiki or plunging a sharp object. Oh, hindi, mukhang hindi buriking. Cutter yata talaga. Ba't ganun? Sisirain mo yung sako niyan pag cutter ginamit mo. Anyway, cutting open a sack containing sugar seized at the Manila International Container Terminal yesterday. Some 228 million pesos worth of imported sugar from Thailand in 76 containers were seized. Ayan na po, ewan ko lang po kung ito yung magiging, kasi di ba ganyan na nangyari sa Subic. They said that there were smuggled sugar in Subic, etc. They called the media, and then there was also another warehouse that was raided with senators in tow. Pagkatapos kalabas-labasan, legitimate naman pala yung mga importation. Ito medyo, we don't know, but you know, one would imagine 76 containers of sugar and you are just going to bring it into the Manila MICT, Manila International Container Terminal. You're going to wonder parang, ano ito? Pakapala ng mukha. Lantara na, out in the open, in your face. We will land 76 20 or 40-foot container. From the looks of it, these are 40-foot container. And then, mababa siya. So baka mga 20-foot containers. But 76 containers is a lot. And you have to be blind or pretending to be blind to be able to smuggle this. So maybe technical smuggling, it may be a mistake in the documentation and pronounced smuggling, we don't know. But we are going to find out. Okay, now we'll go for a quick break while we set up our day and our communications. And please stick around because our guest for today, hopefully we are going to be able to connect properly. And I think he is abroad. I haven't had a chance to talk to him. But from what I've read, he has been undertaking further studies on taxation, digital mapping of taxes, etc. So we will speak with him because before the election or during the campaign, there were always a lot of comments made about candidates who would say that they studied in Harvard or they studied in some other some other country or some other university in the US, and then kalabas-labasan online lang pala. So anyway, I think that is something that all of us have given a thought, further studies abroad. But so our topic for today, ano ba yung experience of getting more education, further studies abroad, but also about taxation, digital taxation, and apps for paying taxes. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, welcome back to the program agenda. And at this point of our program, we will now go to the featured interview of a person or on a subject matter. And for today, we are bringing back a regular here on agenda. But generally, we invite him when we have issues concerning taxes, or it is the month of April when Filipinos are supposed to pay taxes. However, for today, we are bringing back our resource person because he is undertaking further studies in the United States, and I want to find out, talaga bang nasa Aremi ka siya or in the US, or baka naman nasa online siya, and why? And of course, other topics. Let's introduce our guest for today.
Mon Abrea is Chairman and Chief Taxing Advisor of the Asian Consulting Group. Along with this, Abrea is the co-chair of the Ease of Doing Business Task Force on Paying Taxes. He also founded the TaxWiz PH mobile app, which helps users understand how to comply with their taxes in an easier and simpler way.
Good morning, Mon Abrea. Welcome to the program. Welcome back.
Good morning, Kuya Cito. Good evening dito sa US.
Okay, parang binabandera mo na nasa Harvard Kennedy School ka. Talagang pinaninindigan mong nasa Harvard ka kasi issue yan eh. Ha? Ano no?
Kuya Cito, nag-midterms lang ako kanina. Nasa Harvard talaga ako.
Okay. Nililinaw ko lang because there are so many people who make claims that they went to Harvard, they went to Stanford, tas malaman-laman mo online lang pala or 30 days lang pala yung seminar, etc. Anyway, so what led to this adventure of yours? I mean, hey, congratulations and compliments. Just to be accepted to Harvard, parang hindi yata madali yan. Yan ba, pera-pera lang or talagang pahirapan makapasok?
Mahirap makapasok, especially kasi Harvard Kennedy School siya. So you should really be able to prove that you are helping and ready to make a difference in your country. So medyo mga kaklase ko pa lang, parang ako yata yung pinaka mahinang klase kasi Vice President, Prime Minister, mga mayor, the Deputy Mayor ng Kiev, ng Ukraine is kaklase ko, Vice President former Vice President ng Ecuador, kaklase ko. So, mga taga-UN, United Nations, so medyo talagang mga dekalibre and world-class na cohorts yung nasalihan ko dito sa Harvard Kennedy.
Okay, I will not be ashamed to admit ignorance because I presume, I've been to the area pero never stepped on the campus. Ika nga, doon lang ako sa mga bar sa paligid ng Harvard, mga magugulong estudyante. Pero I didn't know that there's a difference between the Harvard University campus and Harvard Kennedy School. I'm presuming that's also on campus, right?
Yes, actually, kasi ito, maraming schools ang Harvard. Merong Harvard Business School, merong Harvard Law School, may medical school, then may School of Design, may School of Education, at ako nasa School of Government or Harvard Kennedy School. Then the Harvard University, nandun yung mga undergraduates.
Okay, now, the presumption is people who enroll in Harvard Kennedy School or School of Government have plans to run for elective position or naghahanda maging cabinet secretary. Now, what led you into applying or considering taking a shot at that slot?
Ever since naman, Kuya Cito, gusto ko talagang mag-Harvard. Kaya lang walang opportunity. And naniniwala ako na the Harvard Kennedy School can really prepare me to better help our country whether as somebody who's working with the government, like now, as I still work with the Bureau of Internal Revenue, kay Commissioner Lilia Guillermo. I still help with the DTI and the anti-red tape. Online nga lang, but I'm still working with our government, the Senate, Ways and Means, kay Senator Win Gatchalian. So I'm actively working. Tayo po ay night shift dito para to communicate with them. So whether I'll run or be appointed, that's something that will be determined in the future. But I just want to be ready. Kuya Cito, ayokong pumunta sa gobyerno dahil lang may oportunidad. Gusto ko, handa akong magserbisyo at meron akong kakayahan at training.
May karapatan.
May karapatan at hindi tayo manggugulo.
Okay, now, how difficult was it to, well, kasi makapasok ka dyan, either marami kang pera, which I know marami kang pera, or nakakuha kang scholarship or sponsorship from the Philippine government. Which is what is the case?
Well, hindi ako in-sponsoran ng Philippine government. So, I was admitted in 2020, nung simula ng COVID. Na-admit ako dito. I was recommended by former Commissioner Billy Dulay, si Cesar Dulay, former Vice President Lenny Robredo, and former Senator Dick Gordon. So, sila yung nag-recommend sa akin at nagsabi sa Harvard that I am doing something worthwhile sa ating bansa, and through our tax advocacy that I am able to make a difference. And moving forward, if I get admitted, yung learnings ko dito magagamit ko pagbalik ko sa Pilipinas.
Okay, but ano ang binenta mo? Nagbenta ka ba ng dugo para makapasok dyan?
Hindi po. I am paying for my education.
Oh, sabi ko na nga ba mayaman ka eh. Pero I mean, how? I'm sorry, no. I'm just being funny, etc. But in all seriousness, how much does a semester in Harvard cost? If you can answer, kasi pera mo naman yan, pare.
Pag ginugel mo naman, Kuya Cito, makikita naman, it's almost, siguro mga nasa 5 billion pesos, or dahil sa peso devaluation nasa 6M.
6 million per semester?
Half. So in 1 year, for 1 year, mga nasa 6M. Nung nag-apply ako, mga nasa 5. Pero dahil bagsak ang piso, nasa 6M na. So, okay. Tumubo yung Harvard.
Okay, so now what, medyo nakakatakot yan. Parang how do you justify spending 6 million? Parang hello, ibili ko na ng condominium yan.
No, but the learnings
how do you
here,
justify?
Kuya Cito, the learnings here are overwhelming kasi you not naman rubbing elbows, but you really engage face to face with the government leaders, with respectable people in the world stage. United Nations, World Health Organization, different governments around the world. And ang mga subjects namin dito, global governance, and the real issues like the South China Sea dispute, Russia, Ukraine, hindi to parang mga storybook lang or may formula and just solve it by yourself. And I'm very lucky kasi we are also allowed to cross-enroll. So meron ako subject sa MIT, Social Media Analytics, kaya tayo ay nakakaunawa na ngayon yung mga trust and disinformation, how they can really change the behaviors of people, especially during election. Meron tayong power and influence class sa Harvard Business School. So now I am more particular with the power dynamics and how you use influence to make sure that you don't need to be in power, pero you can push your agenda, especially for the country. And syempre yung klase ko sa HKS, Harvard Kennedy School, Public Policy, Governance, Leadership. Grabe din yung mga credentials ng mga professors kasi I have to Google it. And well, Harvard naman allows you to really check their profile before you enroll their classes. Meron din kami tinatawag na shopping, meaning you can really interact and hear them lecture before you decide to enroll their classes. And of course, yung mga kaklase mo, grabe, as in the insights, yung kumbaga in discussion, Kuya Cito, yung multiplier effect, grabe. Because in one concept or one issue, you will hear the insights of someone from Syria, someone from Turkey, someone from the other side of the globe, diba? And of course, from our side of the world, the Southeast Asia. And iba't iba. So I am seeing the world now in different perspective, Kuya Cito. Kaya when I read about comment on peso is not weak, parang nanghina ako kasi parang with all the principles and what we're discussing here, we are on the verge of a possible global recession, and it should be taken seriously because even the US, even the Federal Reserve is having a hard time. So it's not something that we can take sitting down.
Okay, now okay, so you've enrolled, you're taking all of these courses. It's costing you a lot of from your personal finances, and I agree. I'm just playing stupid here because I mean, not everybody understands the context or the motivation. Not everybody will appreciate. Hello, 6 million ginastos mo para ka lang mag-further studies. Marami namang universidad dito sa Pilipinas and some people will say 6 million bahay at lupa na yan. But you're correct. Education is the best inheritance I can leave my daughter, which is what I've done. And you are investing on your education because you can multiply that. Lahat ng natutunan mo, actually, lahat ng natutunan mo, hindi ka dapat pumasok sa public office, dapat pumunta ka sa state university or mag-set up na tayo ng mga seminars so that you can cascade all of those learnings which we will not have access to based on personal experience. But aren't you worried that medyo nosebleed yung mga courses mo dyan, and by the time you bring it back here, I'm reminded of an executive kasi who spent 4.5 million hiring all the motivational speakers and lecturers in Metro Manila to train his 22 executives. And then he was so frustrated after three years, he was so frustrated that nothing seems to have changed in the environment. And I said, well, you're a great boss by spending 4.5 million, but you're also the ignoramus in the room because you never attended any of those seminars or those engagements. And that's what I'm worried about for people like you. You go all the way to the US or to Europe, and then when you come back here, you're going to have to deal with ignoramuses who don't know what you're talking about.
Well, actually, isa din sa tinuturo sa amin, Kuya Cito, is not to superimpose or overimpose what we are learning here. Kasi, change is not something that you can just impose on people or force it. Mahalaga din yung sinasabi natin na paradigm shift, yung transition, and it really has to start with realignment with the core values. So kami dito, imagine mo 200 plus yung cohorts namin from around the world. Iba't iba talaga yung culture, yung values, yung political views, and etc. I mean, yung mga taga-US nga, di nagkakasundo the Democrats and the Republican. Magkaiba talaga, makikita mo talaga yung clash of the titans. But it's really more of, siguro kaya din ako ngayon, hindi na masyadong naapektuhan din ng mga trolls and bashers because the diverse in opinion actually enrich the discussion. So there's no such thing as stupid remark or plain bashing. Because it's always something that you should consider to make the information or the formula work. So, ang pinag-aaralan namin dito, Kuya Cito, is not a solution. Ang pinag-aaralan namin dito, framework, my mindset. How do you really, what perspective or in what context you would address the problem? So,
Bill Gates said that at one point, that if you create a framework for any concern, you will be able to create the boxes to put the right things in the right places and the right perspective.
And honestly, Kuya Cito, isa din is, alam mo yun, when you go through a lot of case studies which are mostly current events, and you are asked to meet with different small groups and defend or come up with a consensus, Kuya Cito, hindi ako nagbibiro, it's really challenging. So imagine we go through that almost every day na yung simpleng case, let's say for instance...
okay, give us an example.
What fiscal policy or COVID interventions would your government do? Bibigyan kami ng data from World Bank, ano yung ginawa ng mga bansa sa iba't ibang mundo. But if you are to decide, alin ang pipiliin mong fiscal stimulus or what percentage of GDP yung gagamitin mo. So in short, Kuya Cito, hindi pwedeng opinion lang because you should be able to measure it. You should be able to assess at the end of the day kung ano yung naging impact nung decision mo or whether will you support what your government need or will you do otherwise. So yung mga ganon. Or for instance, South China Sea dispute, when we discussed it in class, we were talking about what's really the case. Is it really China simply disregarding the decided case, or it's something that they are holding on, and I hope I won't be creating an issue here, because economically, they are dependent on it. That if they let go of the resources that they have or that they access in the South China Sea, it will affect their economy.
Yeah, but they're not being denied access to the South China Sea. It's
but they are being greedy. But they are being greedy, Kuya Cito. They want oil.
Exactly.
And
So
because,
how was that addressed in your classes?
as I have said, they don't prescribe solution. But in our discussion, yun yung perspective na hindi ko nakita before. This is more than just about sovereignty or who really owns it. But what do you get if you have control over those the quote-unquote disputed area? Mm-hmm. And obviously, China is getting much resources, which even now during pandemic, during crisis, they're able to use. So kapag give up nila yon, and no matter how quote-unquote bully they want to be, mababawasan ng economic power nila.
Okay, how much of the university's culture, or if I may be as bold to say that, how much of American culture and politics gets into the conversations or perspective of things? Because I've always had that issue, Mon, for media. I've always said that we need to lessen the influx of American media into the Filipino mindset and kind of balance things out with European, particularly, British, French, Italian, or even African, South American media. Because ang nangyayari, we tend to, it's either American political perspective or culture or American entertainment and not much on education. Now, in the university in Harvard, how much of the American culture or way of thinking gets into the studies?
Well, demographics-wise, kalahati ng cohorts namin are Americans, meaning from different states here. Half, as in more than 100. Like us, more than 100 kami from different countries, especially developing countries. Marami from India. But also, courses, just so you know, Kuya Cito, we have more than 300 courses selection. Pwede ka mamili sa 300 plus na courses. There are really those by default American, like American presidency or politics, etc. And case study-wise, by default then, laging merong American, but you get to choose. Like in my case, very less American kasi yung mga pinili ko are those that doesn't really discuss much about America. Pero let's say, for instance, yung recession, growth, and macroeconomic policy class ko, my professor, Karen Dainan, is a former White House economist. So her default example would always be citing policies which they implemented or how they look at it. But the good thing is, she would always ask, how about in other countries, let's say developing countries? How would you look at this? Or how's the GDP? Are you overheating? Are you beyond potential output like Japan? Or are you highly leveraged because of the COVID? So yun yung maganda. Pero again, Kuya Cito, by the demographics-wise, kalahati American citizens.
Okay.
Classes-wise, marami talaga American-driven or centered.
Okay, let's go for a quick break, Mon. And when we return, let's continue with this conversation. But also on the latter part, I'd like to touch on what are you getting out of all of this. I understand you're developing an app or a program which is tax related. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, welcome back to the program agenda. And with us is our guest, Mon Abrea, one of the country's leading tax specialists. I don't know, ano ba talaga tawag sa'yo? Tax specialist, internal revenue officer. Paano ba ang title mo?
Wala, basta tax payer.
Hindi. But how do you introduce yourself in class in the context of all the studies that's going on?
I use tax advocate in the Philippines.
Ayun.
I'm more comfortable with the advocate since I deal with a lot of policy makings.
Okay, going back to the conversations in the classroom in the Harvard Kennedy School and MIT, etc., what have you observed? Because there have been situations where I'm kind of like watching certain groups or certain events, and then I get the impression, wow, these guys are a bunch of real experts, nosebleed technocrats. But then there are situations where, ano ba itong napasok ko? Puro kamote yata ang nakasalang dito. In your classrooms, is it really all about public administration, government service, or is it more of technocrats and academicians or armchair experts? Ano yung
Actually,
lumalabas sa debate?
Yes. Kuya Cito, again, depende pa rin sa mga courses na kukuhanin mo. Siguro may mga armchair experts ka may encounter, merong mga purely academician and researcher. Meron naman talagang mga former public servants. Meron naman technology-driven. Kasi mamimili ka yung bang kailangan mo, soft skill o hard skill. Like in my case, yung analytics, when we started studying yung data analytics, yung regression, yun talaga, clueless ako. Pero now, I have an idea and we go through a lot of exercises and I actually did a project last week. Talagang naubos ang dugo ni Red Cross. Talagang gasgasan ng talino. But also, meron akong public narrative where it's about communication, it's about connecting with the public, soft skill naman siya. So depende kung
ano ba talaga yung data analytics? Because my daughter who's studying in the Netherlands was also made that comment that as far as the EU is concerned, whether you're in finance, economics, or national security, the data analytics skills is one sure way to get employment.
Yes, because right now, even policy making is data-driven. Ibig sabihin, what does the data tell us? Based doon sa mga policies na in-implement, what worked and what did not work. So before, it's more of a qualitative discussion. Ngayon, Kuya Cito, meron na talagang formula, meron na talagang spreadsheet or R or regression.
So statistics,
yes.
Outcomes,
yes.
And numbers.
Yes, super formula in short. So talaga may science na. Siguro it's I'm not an expert on that.
Sandali, Mon. Pakiliwanag mo nga ito, Mon. Iniba lang ba ninyo yung lengguwahe? Kasi nung panahon namin, statistics lang yan eh. Kumbaga, statistics, charts, and graphs. Ngayon, pinatawag nyo data analytics. Yung ba yun?
Well, I would say that's the basic skill. Or yun yung pinaka-foundation. Kasi Kuya Cito, kapag wala ka nung quantitative analytics or yung techniques or statistics as you are saying, hindi ka aabot dun sa level na algorithm. Or
kumbaga bago mo masabi na ito yung nangyayari, kailangan maalis mo yung mga plus, minus, kailangan maalis mo yung mga premature, yung mga
filter mo yung data. Ma-filter mo yung data. Yes.
Okay.
So
now,
it's actually exciting.
We don't have a lot of time. I'd like to give you the opportunity to talk more on your tax advocacy discoveries there. Kasi balita ko, may plano ka raw mag-launch ng app on tax payments in the Philippines or something. But I said, you already have a program. And I'm worried also because some people, a company in the United States, tried to come up with an app for helping American taxpayers pay their taxes easier and simpler, but it turned out to be a money maker instead of a public advocacy. Ano ba yung balak mo?
Well, number one, with the learnings, exposures that I have here, we still collaborate with BIR, DTI, ARTA, even the Senate. In fact, in the coming weeks, we'll be signing a MOA, Memorandum Agreement with BIR and DTI. And our last Zoom meeting, I shared the World Bank's proposal to use risk-based audits, BIR. Again, another data-driven policy that I proposed to Commissioner Lilia Guillermo, and she very much appreciated and accepted it. So we are now working on it. Now, the app naman, as you have said, there's already an existing app. It's the Tax with PH app. But before I left the Philippines, we actually relaunched the Tax with PH 2.0. It's free. It's for free. You can download it. You can compute your taxes. You can check the deadlines, the new regulations. You can chat with an expert. You can chat with me and ask your questions. And of course, the most important thing, you can file your tax returns for free. Using the app, you just take a photo of your receipts or whatever financial documents, automatic niyang ipoprocess, Kuya Cito, yung tax return mo. At the same time, we'll record keep or bookkeep your information, your revenues, your expenses. Para if you want to know kung magkano ba talaga naging expenses mo or kinita mo, because of the receipts that you are taking a photo of, nare-record siya ng app. And at the same time, automatically, pine-prepare niya yung tax return mo, especially for quarterly income tax filing. And it's free. That's why it's public service. But more than that, Kuya Cito, it's really allowing you to ask your questions no matter how simple or quote-unquote stupid that is, because it's important that you understand para hindi ka magbayad ng penalty, para hindi ka maharap sa kaso or habulin ni BIR. And that's what the Tax with PH would like to offer to the public, to empower you, to give you the peace of mind, and to allow you to do it anywhere, anytime, and be a good taxpayer. As long as you decide to, the app will help you. Kasi kung ayaw mo magbayad, the app cannot help you because it's a tool for you to do it at the convenience of your home or wherever you are.
Okay, is the app fault-free? Is it
Yes,
safe?
yes.
Because paano if something goes wrong? Who's going to take responsibility for it?
It's accredited by BIR, Kuya Cito, and it's free because you just use it to file your tax returns. Ang tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, ang talagang best feature niya for me is that you get access to a consultant or experts and you don't need to pay. It's really allowing you to make sense of what you're doing, especially if it's your first time. So that's a Tax with PH mobile app. And
So
you can
I
download it whether
yeah.
iOS or iOS or yung sa Apple App
So
Store.
I guess because the app allows you or assists you to file your income tax return, you're already in good standing with the BIR. Kasi kumbaga,
Yeah.
meron kang intent to pay. You have indicated
Yes.
intent to pay, and that's the best evidence. Now, if something goes wrong because it's accredited by the BIR and your group essentially assumes that something goes wrong, it can be fixed unless
Yes.
there is a criminal intent, which
Yeah.
the app and your associates must be able to check and censure.
Actually, yung once you file your return, we cannot safekeep it. It goes directly to BIR unless you decide to download and print your return. So, hindi namin mapaglalaroan yung data because it's really you.
Yeah.
Ikaw mag-decide what you want to declare and pay.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, that was going to be my next question. What about data privacy, confidentiality? Nako po, yan ngayon ang isa sa mga biggest red light warnings.
Yes, agree. We are also mindful of that, the data privacy. That's why we made sure that it goes directly to BIR and we are just platform or pass-through. But at the same time, as I mentioned, Kuya Cito, ang pinakatulong talaga namin is to make sense out of it. Pagka medyo parang hindi mo alam plus minus saang raw, saan box, saan ba talaga ilalagay, then you can chat with us. Unlimited naman siya so that you get assisted para tama talaga yung ilalagay mo. Kasi Tulad ng sinabi ko, Kuya Cito, kung gusto mong mandaya, gusto mong baguhin, wala kami magagawa kasi it's your tax return. So
Okay.
you have really full discretion.
Okay, yeah, you only get what you put in or garbage in, garbage out. Data, good
Exactly.
data, good data in and out. Okay, now, what has been the take up on this app or on online services for these tax payments?
What do you mean, Kuya Cito?
I mean, how popular has it been? How many people take it on?
Oh, actually, we were very happy and surprised na umabot ng 15,000, more than 15,000 yung nag-download ng PH app. And more than that, sobrang daming nag-chat. And as I've told you, isa ako sa talagang sumasagot. And we will continue answering every day. Ang commitment naman namin, Kuya Cito, hindi man real time, kasi you can chat anytime, di ba? Kung tulog kami. So baka nga shifting eh. Pag tulog kayo sa Pinas, ako na lang yung sasagot dito kasi umaga sa akin. But the thing is, ang commitment namin, within the day, within 24 hours, you will get a reply.
Okay.
Kasi medyo madami talaga. But that's our commitment to the public, to really answer your tax questions, no matter how detailed it is, and to give you the most possible reliable source from BIR themselves.
Well, I'm sure that your classmates or group mates may have asked you questions about tax payments in the Philippines or the tax system in the country. What have you discovered as far as the situations in other countries? Are they similar to the Philippines, where there is a small population of taxpayers? Is tax avoidance predominant in those countries in relation to the Philippines? Ano ba yung napapag-usapan niyo?
Actually, Kuya Cito, dalawang bagay. When it comes to compliance or administration, I wouldn't say we are behind or like the last. But of course, we benchmark dun sa best, di ba? So, I have a classmate who's a tax official at the Australian Taxation Office. Talagang siya, we were sharing experiences. Yung kanila talaga is fully, ito na naman ako, data-driven talaga. As in, the examiners or tax collectors cannot manipulate or impose assessment na kung ano yung gusto nila. Because it's really based on data that are being processed by their system. So wala silang discretion. And I think that's something that that I propose personally to our commissioner na she's very delighted to work on the risk-based audit, data-driven siya. But when it comes to taxes, tax avoidance, Kuya Cito, ito exciting. OECD, yung Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, they're proposing this global minimum tax. But it's a very, I hope I won't put it in a bad light, medyo Western or medyo detrimental to the South, Global South. Kasi sa developing countries, it may be very difficult to implement it. But there are benefits like Facebook, Amazon, we will have a share on their profit. Kasi whatever income they make from the country, regardless whether may registered sila o hindi, basta may revenue silang na-generate through their platform, they will have to pay a certain amount of taxes to that country. And I think that's a good news. However, yung global minimum tax, medyo tatanggalin yung leverage natin. Kasi in the Philippines, pagpasa ng Create Law, Kuya Cito, meron tayong 4 to 7 years na tax holidays. Then may 5% special corporate income tax. Kapag nag-agree yung 147 countries as proposed by OECD, mawawalan tayo ng discretion to actually give a lower amount or lower taxes kasi mag-i-impose ng minimum 15%. So, to me, that's something that we really have to think seriously kasi alam mo naman, we use taxes as a way to attract foreign direct investments. So, mawawala tayo ng leverage. But in principle, it will try to address global tax evasion. Imagine mo kung yung profit shifting na ginawa ng Facebook, ng Uber, Amazon, that they really declare it where in a country where the taxes is super low, despite the fact that they generated it from all over the world, including the Philippines.
Yeah,
diba?
but even Filipino companies do that. They don't
Exactly.
really declare their income in the area or the jurisdiction where the income is generated or services rendered. I mean, like resorts. the resort developers owners still pay taxes in Makati or Quezon City, but and not in the provinces. But anyway, unfortunately, Mon, I mean, I love the discussion we're having right now, but we've run out of time. I think I will just have to do a catch up with you at a later date. Up to when are you going to be in Harvard?
Until next year, 1 year yung program ko, Cito.
Okay, well, we'll keep in touch on Messenger or Viber, and we'll have a lot of stuff to talk about, and we can do another show. I'm just reminded of one of the first times I met you, and we were talking in a small table somewhere in Shangri-La Hotel sa hallway doon. Parang sabi ko, nasa Harvard na itong kolokoy na ito. Okay, congratulations, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you more. Thank you for your very informative and educational points that you've shared this morning. Do take care of your health and especially your mental health, my friend.
Thank you, Cito. God bless.
Okay, God bless. And that's Mr. Mon Abrea, one of our well-known tax advocates in the country. Let's now go to our blessing for the week, and it comes from the book of Romans, chapter 15, verse 13. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that by the power of the Holy Spirit, you may abound in hope. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, and please keep it here on One News.